Hi, welcome to Community Connection. I'm your host, Sarah Clark, and today with me I have the Santa Barbara Symphony. Welcome David Grossman, the Executive Director, and Amy Bassett, the Director of Education. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thanks for having us, Sarah.
So tell me a little bit about the Santa Barbara Symphony and the history when it was founded, and I understand you're now celebrating your 60th season, which is very exciting, so I'd love to hear more about that too.
Great. Well, if you do the math, we started in 1953, and it was a small group of local musicians who felt like that a very special city deserved a very special orchestra, so they started very locally, and it has just grown over the last 60 years to really become part of the fabric of Santa Barbara, and we're very proud of what it's turned into. Especially over the last 10 years, it has really elevated artistically on so many different levels.
And that's a lot of people have talked about how in recent years the Santa Barbara Symphony has grown into a premier quality orchestra, really taking it to another level. What are the driving forces behind this growth, and what are some of the changes we've seen?
The artistic excellence and the level of the musicianship has grown exponentially. We have musicians that travel from around the country for our concerts, and we attract some of the best musicians in the world, many of who live in the Los Angeles area and work in the music industry there. And we just offer a great experience with a world-class conductor, Nir Cabaretti, our maestro, and it has really become a destination orchestra for many of these musicians who want to be part of the experience. And because our programming is so challenging and rewarding, and we bring in some of the best soloists from around the world to share their talents with us. As a matter of fact, we opened up our 60th season with Andre Watts, who many people in the community had said they had hoped would come to the symphony. When we reached out to him, he said, "I want to be there." And that type of reputation is really what the symphony has grown into.
So it's a great time for music lovers in Santa Barbara.
Absolutely.
And tell me a little bit about where the symphony has been performing and where you perform now.
Well, we perform in the Granada,
which is absolutely beautiful.
Which is a wonderful theater, and every seat in the house, really, I've experienced all the different locations, and sonically it's very fulfilling no matter where you're at. But this season in particular has been very special for a lot of folks because it is our 60th, and we've listened to the community, and we've collaborated with a lot of the other arts organizations that are in town to help celebrate this connections, if you will.
And what is your season all year round, or do you have, is it?
It's October through May.
Okay.
As well as a New Year's Eve concert, which always sells out because that's a lot of fun.
Yes, everyone knows about that one.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. We'll see you there again next New Year's Eve.
Definitely. And so, Amy, talk to us a little bit about some of the education programs that the Symphony offers. I know that you offer so many wonderful programs that Cox is excited to be a partner of this year. So I'd love to tell our viewers more about them.
Definitely, and we're very excited to have Cox join us. We have 5 programs that really create a music education suite of them, taking students from their first experience with an instrument in 3rd grade, where we actually take all the instruments into all of the schools, over 50 schools in Santa Barbara County, with 2,200 kids, 3rd graders experiencing touching the instruments, playing them. We actually have all of them that they get to play, and we have them, that's their first experience. Then we move on into our concerts for young people, where we actually recently had that. We bring in 2,600 4th, 5th, and 6th graders into the Granada and perform a 1-hour concert that's really designed just for them so that they can have that first experience, not just with the orchestra, but also within the theater.
And do they learn about that in the classroom beforehand?
They do. There was an 8-week curriculum that led them into that so that they could really come with the experience and with the understanding of what they were about to hear.
Which I just think nowadays with music being cut back and cut back more and more in schools, this is such a great program for our community.
And we really work within the standards that the teachers are already having to use within the classroom so that we can really just embed and be right beside the teachers and already the great work that they're doing.
It's really part of our core programming to make sure that the symphony establishes relationships on so many different levels, not only the artistic community. We've got collaborations this year with the State Street Ballet and the Santa Barbara Choral Society and a local artist and a local composer, but to make sure that we support our education opportunities in the way that Amy was just mentioning with our suite, which is pretty special for a community like this to have that.
Absolutely, and we want to grow wonderful musicians
Right,
so that they can come back and play with us.
Definitely. It doesn't stop just at the concert experience, because then we have programs that actually introduce students to the instruments so that they can start learning the violin, viola, cello, and bass in an after-school program, and then really take that experience and that building block and move into the junior strings, a small ensemble of string players that are young, and then into the youth symphony.
And so can our viewers and the public come and watch these performances?
We have 3 youth symphony concerts each year that are open to the public, and our junior strings concerts are also 3 a year, and they're open to the public.
And this is annual, so
Yeah.
you know, if you missed one this year, we have a series of concerts next year. Our season opens in October. Like I said, it goes through May, and you can always go to our website at thesymphony.org and see what's coming up.
And so obviously a lot of things go on behind the scenes for the symphony, for us to be able to come and experience these wonderful performances. How do you choose the material and that you put into the program for the year?
That's a great question. It's about collaboration. It is listening to our maestro, who ultimately makes the final decision, but he does that with an artistic committee. He does that by having listened to the people in the community and looking at the other opportunities that people have to go enjoy music, so we make sure we complement the other programs that are taking place, and we don't compete in that regard, so you're not hearing the same compositions, if you will, week after week. So it starts almost 2 years in advance to make sure that all those pieces fall into place and that we provide programming that's stimulating and interesting, rewarding, and exciting.
And do the players in the orchestra change every year? And how, you talked about some of them come up from LA, do they come for the night, or how does that work? And I'm imagining that you have a network of relationships that you use, so I'm curious about that.
Well, we have our core musicians, they're under contract. All these musicians that we're talking about, they come up for a week's worth of rehearsals before the weekend that you come hear the concert at. So many of them have been with us for decades and decades, few of them even longer than that. So there's been a long-standing relationship with a number of these musicians, as well as the new ones that have just come into the fold.
And how many performances do you have typically in a season?
7 concert pairs of our Masterwork series, plus New Year's Eve. And then Amy?
Then the 3 youth symphony concerts, 3 junior string concerts, and we always have a community concert where we combine all the groups that we have together to perform. So.
Wonderful. And how do families and kids get involved in your education programs?
They can look at our website, www.thesymphony.org, and just really, we send things out to the schools and we make sure that they have the information. We use the Friday folder a lot.
I know a lot about that.
I also want to add, excuse me if I may,
Yes.
Sarah, that before each concert we have an amazingly entertaining and educational, what do we call Ramon? A lecturer. He's not a lecturer, he's a musicologist, he's a music, I forget the word he likes to use, scholar. He's a music scholar. And he just takes a half hour and talks about the program for the evening. So if you don't know classical music, you're not quite sure what to expect, it's a casual atmosphere. You come, you enjoy, you can come an hour earlier, listen to Ramon speak, which has the concert. The concert then says a lot more to you if you're not familiar with the works, and it's really something to experience.
And Ramon really speaks at a level for all the audience members, whether it's their first experience in the hall with an orchestra, or whether they're full-time subscribers and been coming for years. Anyone can capture something from Ramon.
And I just love that, because I think the symphony can be intimidating to
Yes.
people
Definitely.
that haven't grown up with classical
And
music.
it just shouldn't be.
So tell me, what's your word? What are your words of wisdom to get everybody to come see a performance?
You just have to check it out. Sonically, in a theater like that, to hear 70 musicians performing works that are extraordinary at the level of excellence that the symphony's at, when you can be a student and buy a $10 ticket anytime you want to go experience that. And if you're not a student, the tickets are very reasonably priced. Of course, they go up to the box seats, which are at the high end. But if you want to dress casually, if you want to bring your drink into the theater, if you want to check out Ramon beforehand, if you're worried about clapping at the wrong place, don't worry about it. It's just come and experience the fact that Santa Barbara has that available to its residents in itself is very special. And once you've been there, you'll want to be there again.
And that's why I think it's important that the community supports you. We are so
Absolutely.
lucky to have you, and thanks for all your passion and dedication. And Amy, what's one thing you can leave our viewers with about, why is our symphony so special here?
I really believe it's that it's part of the community, and when someone does enter the hall, they are entering a community of people that are really welcoming, and it's just a different atmosphere in some place that they might not realize that they will enjoy.
And so the season starts in October. We have a lot of concerts coming up. Oh, the one last thing I wanted to talk about, the music van.
Yes.
Can you mention what that is?
That's our program that is our first introductory program to the instruments. It's for third graders. 2,200 students experience it, and they get to try all the instruments of the orchestra, everything from a folk harp down through the tuba.
Wonderful.
And I know we only have a few minutes left, but I do want to make mention of the rest of the season. And speaking of collaborations, we just finished with the State Street Ballet. It was a wonderful performance. Next month, we've got our American Masterpieces. We're going to have a world premiere composition by a composer that's up and coming, as well as Gershwin and Bernstein. And then the month after that, we've got this wonderful artist who's going to be inspired by the music on stage, which is Vivaldi's Seasons and Vivaldi's Four Seasons and Glazonov's Seasons, and she's going to actually paint live on a massive screen that'll be projected as she's being inspired by the music. So that's a local artist, and then in May we've got Mahler's Second, which is going to be with the Santa Barbara Choral Society with 150 singers, a massive orchestra. We actually have to build the stage out and build new risers for the Choral Society, and it's going to be a huge Sound of the Granada that you just can't miss.
Wow, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing all your enthusiasm and passion, and thanks for everything you do for our community.
Well, thank you for everything you do in the
Thank you.
community. We do appreciate it.
And thank you for watching Community Connection. We'll see you next time.